We are already done with the extracting the square roots and factoring methods in finding the solutions of quadratic equations. We make use of the extracting the square roots method when there is a quadratic term but no linear term. We make use of factoring method when the quadratic equation has small coefficients that can be factored easily. Today, we'll be making use of another method, and that is by completing the square. And for this, we have this learning target. Take note that we make use of the completing the square method when the quadratic equation is in the form ax squared plus bx equals c. And just like factoring method, this method is easiest to use if the numbers are not too large and the leading coefficient is 1. In doing so, let us learn first how to complete a perfect square trinomial from a binomial. So this is how we are going to do it. To complete the square of x squared plus bx, add the square of b over 2 to the expression. This will form a perfect square trinomial which can be written as a square of a binomial. So let us express it. Okay. So let's make use of a pen. Okay. So we have here x squared plus bx plus bx plus the square of half of b. Then let's make use of numbers to illustrate it. So we have x squared plus 6x where our b is 6. So we have now the square of half of 6. So we have now x squared plus 6x plus half of 6 is equal to 3. Then square it. And then let us now have the trinomial. What is 3 squared? 3 squared means 3 times 3 and not 3 times 2. So that is equal to 9. So we have plus 9. Then after the trinomial, we are going to express it as a square of a binomial. So how? Make use of factoring method to find the factors. What are the factors of x squared? So we have x times x. How about the factors of 9 when added the sum is 3? So you have plus 3 plus 3. Notice that we have the same base x plus 3, so we can just combine them. So by product law, we have copy the common base x plus 3 and add the exponents 1 plus 1, so we have 2 here. Okay? But there is a shorter way of doing it. So what are we going to do? Okay, I'm just going to copy the equation here. Okay, so prepare one parenthesis here and then square. Get the square root of x squared, and that is x. And then half of b, and that is half of 6 is equal to 3. So we arrive at the same answer. So I think this is much easier to do than undergoing the process of getting the factors of the trinomial. Okay, let's have more examples. So complete the square to form a perfect square trinomial and express it as a square of a binomial. Okay, so we have here x squared plus 12x plus, okay, our b is 12. Okay, so we're going to get the square of half of b, 12 over 2. So we have x squared plus 12x plus 12 divided by 2 is equal to 6. Then we are going to square 6. X squared plus 12x plus 6 squared means 6 times 6. So that is 36. And then we are going to express it as a square of a binomial. So get the square root of x squared, and that is x. Then get half of 12, and that is 6. Okay. How about this? Okay. So we have here same process. Get half of the square of negative 7. Now notice that 7 and negative 7 divided by 2 will not yield to an integer. So what we are going to do is we're going to apply power law on quotient. So you have here distribute the exponent. So we have plus negative 7 squared. Then we have 2 squared. We have now x squared minus 7x plus negative 7 squared is equal to 49. That means negative 7 times negative 7. Then we have 2 squared equals 4. Then express it as a square of a binomial. So we have x. Square root of x squared is x. Then we have get half of 7, of negative 7 rather. So we have half of negative 7. As easy as that. Let's have some practice problems, okay? I want you to pause this video for a while and then answer all the items on your own, and then after answering, play the video again. But by the way, items 2 and 5 are the same, so just replace item number 5 with this. Okay, so answer it now. Let's check. So we have here x squared plus 10x, so get the square of half of 10. So we have x squared plus 10x plus 5 squared. Then we have now x squared plus 10x plus the square of 5 is 25, and then we are going to express it as a square of a binomial. So we have get the square root of x squared, so we have x. Then get half of b, so that is 10 divided by 2 equals 5. Okay, same is true here. So we have get half of b, which is negative 14. So we have x squared minus 14x plus the square of negative 7. Then so you have now x squared minus 14x plus 49. We have now x, okay, square root of x squared is x. Half of negative 14 is negative 7, then square it. Then we have, for item number 3, so you have square of 5 over 2. Since it does not yield an integer, so apply power law on quotient. So we have x squared plus 5x plus 5 squared over 2 squared. So we have now x squared plus 5x plus 5 squared means 25. Then 2 squared is 4. Then express it as a square of a binomial. So we have x plus, hindi naman siya mag-result to an integer, just copy 5 over 2. Or just write 5 over 2. And then for item number 4, okay, let us shorten the process by doing this part mentally. Okay, so that when we move on to completing the square method, we'll have a shorter process. So you have x squared plus 6x plus, okay, 6 divided by 2 squared. So you have now x squared plus 6x plus 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 3 squared is equal to 9. And then express it as a square of a binomial. Get the square root of x squared, and that is x. Then get half of 6, and that is equal to 3. Then, for item number 5, same process. Get half of negative 3. Then we have now x squared minus 3x. Since this is odd, apply, this is an odd, and dividing an odd number to an even number results to a fraction or an integer. So apply directly power law on quotient. So we have negative 3 squared is positive 9, and 2 squared is equal to positive 4. Then get the square root of x squared, and that is x. Then get half of negative 3, so we have negative 3 halves. Okay, and for number 6, we have our b is equal to negative 18. Get half of it and then square. So we have x squared minus 18x plus negative 18 divided by 2 is negative 9, and negative 9 squared equals 81. And then get the square root of x squared, so that is x. And then half of negative 8 is equal to negative 9. Then square it. So this is how easy it is. So I think you know the process of completing the square, and now you are now ready to solve for the solutions of quadratic equations by completing the square. For graded part, kindly answer set B, items 1 to 6. Okay? You're going to pass this to me during our scheduled time or during our online class. Okay? Okay, let's now solve this quadratic equation using the completing the square method. Okay, so in solving for the solutions of quadratic equations using the completing the square method, make sure that the equation is written in the form ax squared plus bx equals c, where the leading coefficient, of course, of a is 1. Okay, this equation is already in this form, and then we are going to complete the square, okay, by adding the square of half of b to both sides of the equation. Let's do it. Okay, so let's copy first here x squared plus 14x. Then we leave a blank here for the third term, equals 15. So what is added to the left side should also be added to the right side. Okay, so RB is 14, so we're going to get the square of half of b. Okay, then we're going to do the same on the right side. And then we're going to complete the trinomial. 14 divided by 2 is equal to 7, and 7 squared is equal to 49. Equals 15. Then we have still 49. Then we're going to express this one as the square of a binomial by getting the square root of x squared. That is x. Then half of 14, and that is equal to 7. Equals 14 plus 49 is equal to 64. And then we're going to raise both sides to 1/2. Okay, so that what's left here is x plus 7. Okay, then what is done on the left side should also be done on the right side. So we have now positive negative square root of 64, since any number raised to 1/2 has its equivalent square root or radical form. Then we are going to solve for x by transposing 7 to the right side. So we have here x is equal to positive 7 and transpose, it becomes negative 7 plus minus, what is now the square root of 64? It is equal to 8. Then we can now determine the two values or solutions of this quadratic equation. So we have now x sub 1 is negative 7 plus 8, or negative 7 minus 8. Okay, so we have now negative 7 plus 8 equals 1, and negative 7 minus 8 is equal to negative 15. Okay, now notice that the solutions are both integers. So meaning to say, this equation can also be solved using factoring. Let us show it here. Okay, so if you are going to make use of factoring method, the equation must be written in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So in this case, we are going to transpose 15 to the left side. So we have now x squared plus 14x minus 15 equals 0. And find the factors of x squared first. So we have the factors of x squared are x times x. Then we think of factors of negative 15. When added, the sum is positive 14. So obviously we have positive 15 times negative 1, because 15 times negative 1 is negative 15, and 15 plus negative 1 is positive 14. And then we apply now the zero product property. X plus 15 equals 0, x minus 1 equals 0. Then we have now transpose positive 15, so we have x is equal to negative 15. Then we have here x is equal to 1. Notice that we arrive at the same answer. So therefore, since we have found out that this equation can be solved using factoring method, okay, if you are asked to solve a quadratic equation, and if you think that it can be solved by factoring method, make use of factoring method instead of making use of the completing the square, because you notice the the solution of completing the square is quite, lengthy, whereas in factoring it's quite not that lengthy. Okay, so it's up to you to decide which method to use actually. Okay, so that's it. That only shows that when the quadratic equation can be solved by factoring, it can also be solved using the completing the square method. Next, let's have this x squared minus 2x minus 2 equals 0. Make sure that the equation is written in the form ax squared plus bx equals c, where the leading coefficient is 1. Okay. Notice that it is not yet written in that form, so we're going to transpose first negative 2. So we have x squared minus 2x equals 2. Then we're going to, of course, leave a space for the third term. Then we have plus, okay, plus here. Then get the square of half of negative 2. And of course, what you added in the left side should also be added on the right side. Let's now complete the trinomial. So we have x squared minus 2x. Negative 1 divided by 2 is negative 1. Then square it becomes positive 1. Okay, it's negative 1 times negative 1. You have 2 plus 1 also here. Then we are going to express this one as a square of a binomial, get the square root of x squared. So we have x. Half of negative 2 is negative 1. We have equals 3. Then we raise both sides to 1/2. Okay. So apply power law. So 2 times 1/2 is 1. So what's left here is x minus 1 equals 3. Square root, positive, negative. Lahat ng number na naka-raise sa 1/2 ay equivalent sa kanyang square root. Okay? Then, transpose negative 1 here. So, we have x is equal to 1 plus minus square root of 3. Then, we have now the two solutions. X sub 1 is equal to 1 plus square root of 3. Or, x is equal to 1 minus square root of 3. These are now the solutions, and we cannot simplify it further because we cannot combine integer to a radical. Okay? So, that's it. Next, we're going to follow this process again, of course. Okay? Now, make sure that the equation is in the form x squared plus bx equals c. Okay? Notice that the leading coefficient of x squared is not 3. So, you'll make a way that it becomes 1. So, transpose 9 first to the right side. So, we have 3x squared minus 12x equals 9. Okay? And then, notice that this one, okay, this 12 rather is divisible by 3. So, we're going to make a way that x squared becomes 1 by factoring out 3. Then, we also have, okay, factoring 3 lang only, okay. Okay, we don't need to factor out x also because we are not on factoring method. Okay, so factor out 3 first, then what's left here is x squared. Negative 12x divided by 3 is negative 4x. And then we are going to complete the trinomial. Okay, so we have 9 plus, okay. Now notice that the terms in the left side is multiplied to 3, so therefore the number to be added also to the right side should be factored or multiplied to 3. Okay. So we have the square of half of b. Square of half of b, which is negative 4. Negative 4 over 2. By the way, this is negative 9. Okay. This is negative 9. When we transpose positive 9, this becomes negative 9. Okay, so we have negative 4 over 2 here also. Okay. Then we complete now 3 times, okay, we have now x squared minus 4x. Half of negative 4 is negative 2, and negative 2 squared is positive 4. equals negative 9 plus, okay, we have 3 times negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2, and negative 2 squared is positive 4. Okay, so we have now 3. Okay, express this one as a square of a binomial. So we have x minus half of negative 4 is negative 2. Then we have square it. Then this is 12. 12 minus 9 is equal to 3. Okay, and then we're going to divide both sides by 3. So we have x minus 2 squared is equal to 1. Okay, then what we are going to do is raise both sides to 1/2. Then we have now x minus 2 is equal to the positive negative square root of 1. And then you're going to transpose negative 2 to the right side to find the solutions. Okay, let's move here. So we have x now is equal to 2 plus minus the square root of 1 is equal to 1. Then we have now x is equal to 2 plus 1 equals 3. X sub 2 is equal to 2 minus 1 equals 1. Okay. Again, this equation can be solved by factoring since the resulting solutions are integers. Let's check if that results to an integer using factoring. Okay, so we have here 3x squared minus 12x plus 9 equals 0. Now, all terms are divisible by 9, so you're going to factor out 3. Then we have 3x squared divided by 3 is x squared. Negative 12x divided by 3 is negative 4x. Then 9 divided by 3 is positive 3 equals 0. Then we get the factors now of x squared minus 4x plus 3. So, factors of x squared are x and x. Factors of positive 3, when added, the sum is negative 4. It's negative 3 and negative 1. Okay, why? Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 3. Negative 3 plus negative 1, negative 4. Then we apply now the zero product properties. We have 3 is not equal to 0 because, again, 3 will only describe how narrow or wide the equation is. And that will be discussed in quadratic function. Then we have here x minus 3 equals 0, applying the zero product property. So, you also have x minus 1 equals 0 here. Transpose and then transpose. So, we have here x is equal to 3 and x equals 1. Notice that, again, we arrive at the same answer. So, therefore, this can be solve using factoring method, and it's up to you to decide whether you're going to make use of factoring or completing the square. Okay, this only shows that there are plenty of ways of solving a problem. Okay, let's move on now. For your skills practice, kindly answer this in a few minutes, in 1 or 3 minutes, and then pause this video after answering. Play the video again to check your own work. So let us check. Okay, so this already in the form ax squared plus bx equals c. Okay, so we are going now to complete the trinomial. Plus 10x plus is equal to negative 9 plus. So we have the square of half of 10. The square of half of 10. So we have now x squared plus 10x plus 10 divided by 2 equals 5. The square of 5 is 25. We have negative 9 plus, of course, is also 25. Then we express this one as the square of a binomial. So we have the square root of x squared is x. Then half of 10 is equal to 5. Equals negative 9 plus 25 is 16. Raising both sides to 1/2. 1/2. So we have apply power law. So we have now x plus 5 is equal to positive negative square root of 16. Tandaan, lahat ng number na naka-raise sa 1/2 ay equivalent to its square root. Then we transpose this one to the right side to get the value of x. So we have negative 5 plus minus square root of 16 is equal to 4. We have x is equal to negative 5 plus 4, which is equal to negative 1, or x, you have negative 5 minus 4, which is equal to negative 9. Again, this can be solved by factoring. Okay, obviously. Okay. So that's it. Next, for item number 2, we have x squared minus 8x minus 5 equals 0. This obviously cannot be solved by factoring since we can think of factors of negative 5 when added. The sum would result to negative 8. So, we'll make use of completing the square really. Then, so transpose negative 5 to the right side. So, we have positive 5. Then, complete the trinomial. Okay. By adding to both sides the half of negative 8. Ayan. Then we have x squared minus 8x. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. And the square of negative 4 is positive 16. Negative 4 squared means negative 4 times negative 4. That's why it's positive 16 and it's not negative 4 times 2. 5 plus 16. Then we have here, express this one as a square of a binomial by getting the square root of x squared, that is x, half of negative 8, and that is negative 4. Consider again the operation as the sign of the number, equals 21. Then get the square root of both sides, or the reason behind that is we are going to raise both sides to 1/2. Other books would just tell you to get the square root of both sides. Then if you're going to make use of that, that's fine. We have x minus 4 is equal to positive negative square root of 21. Okay? So, yun yung reason bakit kailangan i-square root ang both sides. Kasi nga, naka-raise sa 2, so raise both sides by 1/2. Then, any number raised to 1/2 is its square root. Then, we have x is equal to 4 plus square root of 21. Then, we have the values of x could be 4 plus minus plus square root of 21 or 4 minus square root of 21. We cannot add them now. We cannot add an integer to a radical. So that is not the final answer. For item number 3, pause this video for a while and then after answering, play it again to check your work. So let's check. So we have here x squared plus 3x. We leave a space for the third term to complete the trinomial. So we have here 5 plus the added term. So we have now get the square of half of b. So we have 3 halves. So what is added on the left side should also be added to the right side. And then we simplify x squared plus 3x plus 3 squared is equal to 9. Then 2 squared is equal to 4. Equals 5 plus 9/4 also. Then we express this trinomial into a square of a binomial. We get the square root of x squared here. So we have x. Then half of 3. So just write 3 over 2. And do not forget to write 2 here. Then we perform addition of whole number to fraction. So the easiest thing to do is get the cross products. So we have 5 times 4 is equal to 20. 5 has an denominator of 1. So 1 times 9 is equal to 9. Then 1 times 4 is equal to 4. So you have 29 over 4. Okay. Let's just write it like this. So we have 29 over 4. Okay. And then we raise both sides to 1/2. Okay. And then we apply power law here. So we have x plus 3 halves is equal to, then any number raised to 1/2 is its square root. So we have apply power law to quotient. So we have square root of 29 over square root of 4, positive, negative. Then transpose positive 3 halves on the right side. So it becomes now x is equal to negative 3 halves plus minus square root of 29. Square root of 29 cannot be simplified anymore because it does not contain any perfect square factor. Then the square root of 4 is equal to 2. Okay? As what I mentioned in the previous items, we cannot combine a radical to an integer or even a rational. So we have here x now. First value of x is negative 3 halves plus square root of 29 over 2, or x is equal to negative 3 halves minus square root of 29 over 2. Okay? So for item number 4, again, pause this video for a while and then play it again when done. Okay, let's check. So notice that, okay, the leading coefficient of x squared is not 1. So we're going to make a way that the leading coefficient will be 1. Okay, and notice that this equation is already in the form ax squared plus bx equals c. So we're going to factor out 2 here so that the leading coefficient of x squared would be 1. So it means we are going to divide 2x squared minus 8x by 2. So we have x squared, then we have negative 4x equals 10. Okay, let's adjust the space. Okay, so we have equals. Okay, then we are going now to add the third term plus the third term. Okay, so notice that the terms in the left side are factor or multiplied to 2. So mean to say the added number also should be multiplied to 2. Okay, so let us now identify the added term by getting the square of half of b. Here we have negative 4 over 2, negative 4 over 2. So we have 2 times x squared minus 4x plus negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2, and the square of negative 2 is positive 4. Then we have 10 plus 2 times negative 4 divided by 2 again is negative 2. The square of negative 2 is positive 4. So what is added now is positive 8. Also here, you have 2 times 4 is equal to 8. Then we have now 2 times express this trinomial into a binomial, square by binomial, by getting the square root of x squared, and that is x. Then get half of negative 4, that's negative 2, equals 10 plus 8 is equal to 18. And then we divide both sides by 2. So we can get the x here, quantity x minus 2 squared is equal to 18 divided by 2 is equal to 9. Then we raise both sides to 1/2, 1/2. Okay. Then apply power law. We multiply the exponents. 2 times 1/2 equals 1. So what's left here is x minus 2. And any number raised to 1/2 is its radical. Square root form. Plus, minus. Then we transpose this to the right side. So what we have now is x is equal to 2 plus minus. The square root of 9 is 3. So we have x now is equal to 2 plus 3. Okay, that's the first value of x, and that is equal to 5. And the other value is 2 minus 3, which is equal to negative 1. Okay, so this only shows us that this equation also can be solved by factoring. Okay, try it on your own if you can arrive with the same answer using factoring method. Okay, so we're done with the skills practice. It's time for you to solve another items again, set of items for the graded part. So for the regular classes, just answer items 1 to 4. For the honors class students, kindly add items 5 and item 6. Okay, so that's it for today. Goodbye and thank you.